Okay, so I decided to start with Respondus today. The idea is that you can see it firsthand before you, because I think a lot of you are already familiar with creating tests directly in eThuto. Now, between the two, I don't have a favorite. It completely depends on your, let me just, sorry, let me just stop my video so I don't distract you. There we go. Sorry. So between the two, I really don't have a favorite or a preference. It completely depends on your practice, which one will work best for you. That's why I wanted to show them next to each other today, so that you can kind of get the best idea of which of the two will work best in your teaching and learning practice. So what we have here is the software open. I'm just going to move my toolbar so you don't have that in the way. And you can see this is the first page. Now, the first step we need to take is to install the software. If you have a CUT computer that you work from, you will need to get someone from IT to come and install the software because it needs an administrator password. Now, the guys at IT all have the installation software, so you don't need to worry about that. But if you do want to get your hands on it, we've put it in our Teams L drive. So if you just go into Microsoft Teams and you access the L drive, you'll see it there. So let me show you. So just go to your Teams and then find this shared L drive one. So most of you will be connected to this one. If not, you can ask IT. Otherwise, you can just ask me. I have these files in my Dropbox as well, so I can easily share them with you from there. So if you have trouble finding it, the Teams folder, it's fine. You can just let me know. In the L drive folder, you'll find under the files, we have ELET. So that's short for e-learning and educational technology. This is our folder. And you'll see two folders here. The one is Respondus Lockdown Browser. We're not doing that today. That is the software we use to close tests while writing so that students can't access other applications on the computer. So what we're doing today is the Respondus test generator. And in here, you'll see there is the exe file. And here's the activation text. So this shows you the password for installing the software. But like I said, IT has access to this, so they normally have it. So if you need to have it installed on your CUT computer, just contact them. They can do it remotely, so it's quick. And if not, you can just send me a message and I'll send it to you from my Dropbox. I have a raised hand. Mr. Mardaka, please go ahead.
Morning, Glenn and colleagues. I just want to find out, is Zoom the only platform you use for such meetings? You don't utilize Teams?
Well, you know, I always use Zoom just because I have access to it. And the recordings from Zoom is smaller in general than they are from Teams. That's why I use it, because I use the videos to send to people. But I don't really have a preference. Why do you ask?
Asking because in most cases, I'm hardly on accessing Zoom. I'm on Teams. So I just saw you now pulling some the Teams application. So I thought maybe if there is a possibility to, if you schedule meetings like this, if you can maybe send a link as well to Teams, and just for the better option and access. But yes, if it's impossible, then it's fine. I'll stick to Zoom whenever I'm able to.
It's not impossible for future. I don't want to do it now because we have this link sent out and people will get confused. But yeah, for the next one, I can use Teams if that's easier. They both work the same for me. So I just always stuck with Zoom because of the recording sites, but I really have no problem switching to Teams. So I'll switch over to Teams for the next session. Not a problem. Okay, let's keep going. So I've opened up the software that I've installed. So just a recap, you can get IT to come and install this, or we can install it if you are working from your own computer. Now we can either import questions from a Word document or create it straight in Respondus. Now I'm going to focus mostly on the importing today because I think that is what most of you are interested in, but I will quickly show you how to edit those questions in Respondus itself for easier access. All right, so first thing I want you to do always when you open up your Respondus, first step is to go to help and check for updates, because we find that if it's not the latest version, then Respondus seems to have some tricks that we can't figure out. So always update your Respondus before you start. It just helps your process. So you just click on help, check for updates. If there's no update needed, you'll get this message. If there is an update, then you will just get an install button here and you can install the update and you won't have any problems. Okay, so first thing we need to talk about is when we import questions, the file format. So you can create your tests on Word or any TXT file really, but most of us use Word, so I'm going to show that today. But they need to follow a specific format for the software to translate them to something that can be uploaded to Blackboard. So what we're going to do is we're first going to go to import questions. And you'll see here that I can select a type of file. And it will be defaulted to plain text, which is a TXT file. I'm going to use a docx file because that's the program that I'm using. And I think most of you will be using this as well. So I'm going to change my format to that. Then we browse, and I'm just going to find the file. So we just find the file on your computer. And then we have a look at this. But now before we get to that, let's talk a bit about the format in which they should be. So I'm going to show you my file in Word. And I'm just going to close that so it's not too busy. And you can see that it follows a very specific format. So for instance, for my multiple choice questions, I have the title of the question, then I have the question number followed by the second bracket, and then I have the variables, and the correct one is marked with an asterisk like so. The same goes for true or false questions. For an essay question, I have to put in the type before. So type E for essay, then I have the title, the question itself, and you can see you can add images, you can change some of the formatting like bold or italic, and all will be accepted, no problem. And there is the model answer for my essay question, and I've got a type F, which is fill in the blank. And you can see that there's question 4, and there are my options. And then I've got fill in multiple blanks type. And here we can see what that looks like. Matching type, and we can see that. Now, this is very confusing at first, but the Respondus has a very, very good help page for this that shows you exactly. I also have access to PDF files that show you all of these nicely, but I don't think you need them. All you need to do is go to this import questions tab and click on help. It'll open up a new tab that shows you all you need to know about importing questions and what they should look like. And then you'll see here under step 1, there's a link to the standard format. If you click on that, it shows you exactly how to format different types of questions. And you can see that it gives you even further explanations. So if you have correct and incorrect feedback, you can even add that. There's essay questions, how to do those, fill in multiple blanks, ordering, jumbled sentence, all of them are here, multiple answers, etc., etc. So you can go and have a look at all of the ways you can format your questions, and make sure that you format your questions correctly before you start the import process, otherwise you'll be blocked. But yeah, this is the easiest way. So just to recap that again, import questions, and then if you don't have your file ready yet, go to help. And then under this section, import questions, we go to standard format under step 1. And it shows you examples of all the different types of questions and how to format them correctly. Okay, so this makes it really easy. The better formatted your question papers before you import, the easier this whole process is going to be for you. As I said, I also have a PDF that has all of that included, so you're welcome to send me a request and I'll send it to you. It's also available in that Teams folder, so you'll see it there as well. All right, so let's go on. I've already got my questions formatted according to the Respondus formatting guide, and you can see them all here. I've got 6 questions and in a Word document. So I'm going to go and change the type of file to Word 2007 onwards, so the docx. I'm going to browse my computer for that file. Open. There it is. Now, we used to have image folders, but since 3 or 4 updates ago, you are now allowed to just put the image in the document like so, which really makes your life so much easier. I really love that update. So you don't need to worry about the image folder anymore. Now you can append these questions to a current document. So if you've opened a file and you just wanted to append your questions to that file, you can do so. But today we're going to create a new document and I'm going to call it import questions. So you have to have a name for your document. Now you can either do an exam or a survey. The difference being is that survey is questions only. So you won't have any answers in a survey. So if you have a document and you accidentally click survey, it will automatically ignore all your answers and just upload the questions. So remember to check. By default, it is on exam, and that is the one we use most often, so it should be fine. You can use a STEM if you want to have specific titles that follow on each other. So if you want chapter 1 titles, you can put that in here. I'm not going to do that now because I've added titles to my document. So you'll see I've got titles for each question. So I'm not going to add a STEM, but you can if you want to. So you can skip the titles and just add STEMs. And then before we finish, we want to preview and make sure that there are no issues. So it's going to throw it through the process and list all of the questions here. As you can see, here's my 6 questions, and I've got no warnings. So this is good. This means that everything was fine. Now, if you have some warnings, they will normally be things like you've got a question with no answer indicated. So maybe you forgot to put in that little asterisk to indicate which one is the correct answer. So that's some of the warnings we often get. Another one would be that you have 2 questions with the same number. So maybe accidentally have 3 and 3, or maybe 2 questions with the same title. Although if you have the same title for more than one question, it won't stop you from importing. It will just allocate a number to each. So it will have the title and make this one 001 and the next one 002. So that's not too much of a big deal, but not having an answer indicated or having the numbers mixed up, that will indicate a warning, and you'll see that immediately. Also, just double check that you have as many questions here as you do on your Word document. If not, it means that something in the formatting went awry and you did not have the correct formatting, so it just ignored that question. So if you, for instance, see 5 here and you know you had 6 in your Word document, go and see which one is missing and double check its formatting. All right, but we've got no warnings. This is perfect. I can see all my questions here, so I'm going to click Finish. Then it's going to open up the editor and save my file. Perfect. And now I can see here are my 6 questions listed here. Now I can add questions to this directly in Respondus if I want. So if you want to add, here are the types of questions that you've got. So let's say we add another true or false question. I'm going to call this, I'm just going to call it TF, and then make a statement. Cold fingers, sorry, make a statement. And I'm going to say this is false. So the student needs to click false. And then I'm going to choose my points value. Maybe this is worth 2 points. Right, now I can see that that question looks good. Now, one thing that I love about Respondus is the Power Edit tool. So if you want to go and play around with the Power Edit tool, it just makes a nice big tab for you where you can edit, and it's got all of the good stuff that you need, like bold, italic, underline, subscript, superscript, equations, all of those things, bullets, tables, so you can insert your tables here and everything. So the Power Edit is very nice for if you build your tests in Respondus, or if you just want to edit some of the questions that you've imported via Word. So for instance, I'm going to just close this up. I can preview the question and see that it looks good. Yep, that looks perfect. And I'm going to add it to the end of my list. So now I've got 7 questions. But say, for instance, I've brought in these other 6 questions from Word and I want to look at them maybe or edit them. So let's do this one here with the image in it. So I'm just going to go next to it. There's a little drop down menu. Click on that. And then I'm going to say I want to edit this question. Okay, I can see that there's the icon that just shows that there's an image in there. I've got some feedback here, the correct answer, because this was an essay type question. But now I see, like, I really don't think an essay question should only be worth 1. So I'm going to put in 10 there. And I'm going to preview just to have a look at it. Okay, my image looks good. All right, and it's worth 10 points. Perfect. I'm going to save changes, and you'll see now that my points value has changed. All right, so you can edit some of your questions here. You can preview them here also, but if you're happy with them and you're ready to move on, we can now go and publish to Blackboard. Now, you need to be an instructor on the page you wish to publish to, so make sure that before you get to this step that you are in fact an instructor, enrolled as an instructor on the page you wish to publish to. Okay, so I'm happy with my 7 questions. I'm going to go preview and publish. You can preview the file if you like. It's just going to show you what the test is going to look like. It doesn't show you exactly what it looks like on Blackboard, but gives you a good idea, of what to expect. I'm going to close because we want to go and publish now. We want to take it over to Blackboard. So I'm going to click publish, and then publish to Blackboard is automatically loaded because we have synced Respondus to our Blackboard, and then click Publish Wizard, and it's going to open up the Publish Wizard tab. Now, the next couple of steps are very important, so make sure that you listen. We first will have to add a server. So if this is your first time using Respondus, you will need to add a server to your Publish Wizard. So we want to leave it on publish to a single course unless you have multiple courses. In other words, if you are sharing maybe your test with your Welkom or Bloemfontein counterpart, or if you have multiple pages that use the same test, you can. But for today, I'm just going to publish to a single course just to keep it simple. Now let's create a new server. So we're going to go, and normally if you don't have a server already applied, you're not going to see a server here. So we're going to go to this little drop down and say add new server. And you're going to leave it on yes, check for pre-configured settings. Next. And we give it a little name. So I'm just going to call it August today, so that I remember which server this is, although it's the exact same server. You don't have to put in your user information because we use Azure through Microsoft to do our login things. And then we say, yes, I want to run a connection test. So next, it's going to open up Blackboard first. So okay. And now it's going to ask me to log in. So just give it a second to load. There we go. Okay, I accept your terms and conditions. Now, you would normally sign in via the third-party account. I have an administrator password, so I sign in here through the guest log. But just remember, you're going to go through the same motions as you do when logging into eThuto every day. I'm just going to skip it over and go with my administrator account. Sign in. And then we just give it a second. Now, don't worry about this error message. It's just because we have to allocate a page for it to direct to. So we just used one of Dr. Badenhorst's test pages to direct to. Why it's giving this error is because I'm not actually on this page as an instructor, and it will do exactly the same with you. So don't panic. It's just unfortunately one of those things we have to give it a space to go to. So we had to choose a page. So when you see this, you'll find just click and close after login. And okay, and it will run that connection test. You can see there it's logging in, retrieve course list completed, connection test completed successfully. Right, so we're good. We have uploaded our server. Next, finish. And now you can see that there our server is in the list. And if you take down your drop-down menu, you can add a new one again if something went missing, or if something isn't working properly, or you can choose one of your old ones. I'm just going to leave it on the one I've created today. All right, so that is the first step. Perfect. We're going to click next, and you don't have to do this every time. You only do it the first time you log in. The server thing. We have to log in again. Unfortunately, this is a bit annoying, but it's one of those things because we're connected with Microsoft. So I'm going to go through the same procedure again. Now, remember, you're only going to do this once where you have to log in twice. The next time you're only going to log in once. So don't worry too much about that. Sign in again. I'm going to get that page again. Sorry, it's just taking its sweet time. There we go. Close off to log in again. Okay, it's going to be happy. Just give it a second to load. You'll see that little wheelie spinning. Then we have choose the course where we're going to publish to. So I'm going to choose the course. Now, you shouldn't have as many courses as I do, but I'm connected to quite a lot of courses. I'm just going to go to my test page. So you select the course where you want to upload the test from the list. You're going to say create new exam, or you can replace an existing one if there is an exam already created on your page, but I'm just going to create a new one for today. You can rename it or just leave it as the name you selected earlier. You can create it as a pool instead of an exam. So if you rather want to create a pool of questions than a test, you can just select pool. And then we have some options here. Now, these are important. If we are not creating a pool, uncheck random blocks to exam. Otherwise, this is going to cause you problems later down the line. You can apply the settings, and you can link the exam to a content area. So you can uncheck these and go straight to Blackboard and just deploy your test. or you can have the system deployed to a place in your Blackboard already by leaving these two checked and clicking next. And it's going to open up that page's content area. So I'm going to say I want to put it under tests. Next, it's uploading my questions, so just give it a second. And completed successfully. So when I see this message, I know I'm done and I can click finish. And now we have uploaded from Respondus via a Word document to Blackboard. So that is the process. It's pretty simple. I'm going to go to that page now. And if I open up that tests link, you'll see that that import questions test has now been added to this content area. So now I can go into my test options and set up my options as I normally would. I can put in my description. I can say if I want to open it a new window or not, make it available to my students, how many attempts, false completion. So I'm not going to go too much into detail about the test options. If this is something you don't know about, I have a video specifically for that on our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube, you'll see that we have a CUT e-learning and educational technology YouTube channel. And under the playlists, you'll find under the tests playlist. Also, just as a quick side note, I upload the eThuto Talks videos here under this playlist as well. So if there was anything you missed today, later on today, this video will be available under this playlist for you to see. All right, but under the tests playlist, I have a test options video. And that shows you all of the test options, what exactly they do, what to look out for, how to set them up, etc. Right, so I'm not going to go too much into depth on that today. Right, so once you've got your test deployed, we just click submit. And now that test is available for my students. You can click on it to preview it. I'm going to go begin. And you can see that there are those questions exactly as they were in my Word document. So these were true or false questions. I think this was Mickelson who did that. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I got these questions from Respondus. So. And then you have your essay answer, and you can kind of play around with, see what experience your students are going to get. And there's the fill in the blank, there's fill in multiple blanks. Here's the matching question, and there's your true or false question that we entered. And that is easy as that for Respondus. All right, I'm going to stop here for a second to allow questions on Respondus. And then after we've answered all the questions, we're going to move on and see what it compares to create the test directly in Blackboard eThuto. All right, so please send me any questions on the chat, or you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask your questions.
Leandre?
Yes, Esther.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to ask something that we have used Respondus in the past. So the test that I previously created in Respondus, will it still be available?
Yes. All right, so that's a good question. Thank you. Let me show you that. So when we go to File, Open in Respondus, you'll see a list of all of the questions. You'll see mine goes back all the way to 2012 is my first one. So it saves it here. Now to double check your Respondus folders, the quickest way to go is just to open up your computer and check Respondus. And you want to look for, it's a folder. Now I can't remember what the folder is called. Somewhere on your computer there is a folder. Let me just check. It should be under my documents. There we go, Respondus project. So by default, your system will install it under this PC documents and then Respondus project. And this is where it actually saves all of your Respondus data. So you can go and have a double check there, see any of your folders there, or if you change computers, you can just go and have a look at that old folder under the documents. Now, I know when the IT guys installs your Respondus, they do it automatically on this P documents. If you install by yourself, you might just want to try and remember where you installed this folder. During the install process, it asks you to choose a destination for that. But this is where it saves all of your projects and you can access them in Respondus by just going File, Open, and they go all the way back to as long as you've had that folder on your computer. Okay, any more questions? Right, seems like everyone is happy, but if you think of something later on, please feel free to just send me an email and I'm happy to answer your questions. So we're going to move on from Respondus now. Now, one thing that I'm just going to mention about regarding Respondus that is a bit of a hiccup is because of the fact that IT needs to install and update. So every time you have an update, like remember earlier I said we check for updates before we start. If you have an update that is needed and you work from a CUT computer, you will need to get IT to perform that update, which is a little bit frustrating. However, IT can do this remotely, and if you can get a hold of someone, they can do it very quickly for you. So just make sure that you update your Respondus a couple of days before you know you're going to need to use it. That's the only frustration we really have with Respondus. Now, I've asked Dr. Bardenhorst to contact IT, and he is in the process of working with them to try and see if we can get Respondus off of the firewall lists, in other words, so that you can update it yourself. So hopefully that is something for the future, but for now you do need IT to install and do all of the updates. So remember, if you're going to have to use it in a couple of days, make sure that you contact or check for updates now and contact IT if needs be. Okay, I'm going to close Respondus. There's all of these. Let's go to Blackboard directly, and we're going to create a test really quickly. Now, again, I've got a video on this on our channel, Create a Test. It shows you the basics of creating a test. So if you want to go and have a look at that, it is available. But now, if we were to create the same test in eThuto, we would have to go to the menu item where we want to deploy the test. So I'm going to use tests again. Assessments, test. Now you have the option to either go and take a test or edit a test that you've previously submitted, or redeploy a test or an old test, or we can create a new test, which we're going to do today. I'm going to give this one a name. We can give it a description and instructions. These are not required fields, so they are optional. And then we submit, and it's going to take us to the test canvas. So here's where we now will be able to formulate our questions. So instead of doing them in Word and then importing them through Respondus, we're going to create them directly in eThuto. So I'm going to start off with a multiple answer. Now, if you already have it in your Word document, this is one of the easiest ways to do it. So I always put them next to each other. Now, if you want to know how to do that, you just use your Windows key and then Windows left to add one of your screens to the left of your page, and then Windows right to add it to the right. So this just makes it easier. So I've got my title here. Just paste it in. Remember, in Blackboard or eThuto, we always use the shortcuts to copy and paste. So Control-C, C for Charlie, to copy. Control-V, V for Victor, to paste. So I'm going to go insert my question text. So Control-C, put it in the box, Control-V. Now I can choose to keep or remove the formatting. So I can either keep the formatting from my Word document or remove it to default formatting of eThuto. I'm just going to say remove. If you want to do that quicker, Control-Shift-V will remove the formatting immediately. Now we can select the answer numbering. So maybe I want these answers to be A, B, C small, like they are in my Word document. And I can have them vertically or horizontally. I like to have them vertically. We can allow partial credit, etc. You can choose how many answers. We already have 4, so I'm going to leave it on 4, but you can have more or less. And we are now going to copy and paste these into. Now, obviously, we could have typed these in. I'm just showing you an example of where I already have the questions typed out in a Word document. But of course, if you are formulating the test from scratch, you don't have it on a Word document, we just type these in. And then I'm just going to get the next one. Okay, so Albert Mickelson is the correct answer. So I want to indicate that by checking the box next to answer B, so that the system knows which one to assign the score for. just going to keep going like this. Now we can put in our feedback. Now I showed you earlier there is a format for doing this in Respondus if you like to. In Blackboard, we just simply put in what correct feedback is. Again, these are not required fields, so you don't need to add these. These are just if you want to add feedback for the students if they have the answer correct or incorrect. Categories and keywords. This is helpful if you build pools. Then you tag basically your questions so that you have them in specific things. For instance, I always tag my questions levels of difficulty so that when I make my test blueprints, it's easy to choose questions from my pool. So maybe this is Bloom's 1. And then I remember that all my Bloom's 1 questions, you know, are for 1 mark or should be this amount of percentage according to my blueprint, whatever it needs to be. And then you instruct notes. So if you have any notes that you need to convey to other instructors on the page or teaching assistants, this is what is not seen by the students. So you can put in your message here. Maybe you can say, you know, strict, this is a strict one or something like that, whatever you need to convey. All right, and we're going to submit. Then once our question is created, here we change the points. Now you can change the points all at once at the end. Sorry, this is because I'm going to change it to 1. And now I moved it completely across to the other screen. There we go. And you can change your points here and then build your questions like this. Okay. Now, I want to show you what I prefer, for instance, for the, I'm going to use the essay type question. So I'm going to go below my question. I'm going to add an essay type question. I like the fact that Respondus allows you to insert the images like this. Now it makes it a lot easier. For instance, if I had to do it here, I'm going to put in my title. I'm going to put in my question. Now I want to add that image. Now, unfortunately, in Blackboard, we can't just paste the image in. We have to add image from local files. And then I think I saved that on my desktop. There we go. Open. And then it adds the image. So this is a bit more of an extra step. This is one thing that I can show you that is comparatively a big thing for me. So if you have a lot of images, but what I like is in eThuto, you can actually rescale your images, which is quite nice, which you can't do in Respondus. You need to import them in the size that they are. So you need to resize your images before you put them in your Word document. So this is one thing that you can think of. So if you have tests where you have a lot of images, it might be easier for you to do it via the Respondus route, instead of having to import every question, every image like so. However, what I prefer in eThuto is I have a lot more scope for for text editing. For instance, I can change my text type, the size. I can, you know, change the colors. I have, you know, the sub and supers. I can link them to websites. I can add a lot of other types of content like video and things like that. We can't do that in Respondus. So sure, that's a weird, let me just go back to Arial. So that is one of the things that you need to think about that is better in eThuto that we don't have in Respondus. So like I said in the beginning of this training, this really is going to come back to what your teaching practice requires. Some of you will find, especially if you use a lot of images, or if you already have the test set up because you have to send them to moderators, you know, it really is easier to do it through Respondus. If you don't have it already set up and you like to play around with multiple media and your text styles and things, then it might be better to create it straight in eThuto. The other thing, let me just submit this so I can show you. The other thing that eThuto has that makes it better, I'm going to just close that now, is that there are more question types. So in Respondus, you only have essay, fill in blanks and multiple blanks, jumbled sentence, matching, multiple answer, multiple choice, and short answer and true or false. So all of these others you don't have. Actually, you know what? I think we have ordering now in Respondus as well. But all of these others you don't have. And one of the ones that I miss in Respondus is hotspot, where you create a question with an image. The student has to click on the image for the answer. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to call this hotspot. And then we say, click on the relevant area. So that is my question text. Then I can go and let's use that same image, upload an image. And then we can designate an area on the image where the student has to click, and that is seen as the correct answer. So let's say we are looking at this little satellite. So I allocate this area, and that means that the student needs to click in that square to get the answer correctly. So for instance, that question type is not available on eThuto. And I know those of you, especially those of you in the health departments, use these types of questions quite a lot when you have diagrams and things and students need to select the correct thing. So again, that is the other thing is though, is you can use them both in tandem. So maybe you have just a couple of these hotspot types of questions. You can always just come and add them in eThuto later. So once you're done with your test, I'm just going to deploy it quickly to show you what I mean. So I've uploaded my test. So this is the one that I imported from Respondus. This is the one I made directly. So maybe I want to add a hotspot question. Yeah, that's fine. I just go to edit the test and I can add questions and even edit these questions that I've had created in Respondus. So you can always come back and work. So you might find kind of a good balance between the two that works for you. So now I can create that hotspot question that I wasn't able to create in Respondus, but because you have a lot of the other types of questions, maybe that is easier. So yeah, that is it from me. So I want to move over to discussion and questions. Esther said on the chat here, when the test is in Word already and in the right format, it can also be converted to Blackboard format TXT and uploaded. That saves time, but the format is important. This is correct. So what Esther is referring to, I have a video on that. You'll see it here. No, that's not it. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Upload questions from Notepad. Now I used Notepad here because that's just more familiar to us, but what I mean is a TXT file. In other words, you can go. Now I'm just going to have to ignore the image. You can't upload images from TXT. I'm going to open up my Notepad and then paste those in. Now you'll see because we have a TXT, we can't have an image. I just want to find that image and make sure that it didn't do anything. No, that's fine. All right, so you've got the same kind of idea. I'm going to save this just on my desktop as so. And this is a whole different approach. So what we do now is instead is we create the test first, or we go to a test canvas like the one we are on now. So either we go to wherever we want to create the test and create a new one, or you go to an existing test. So I'm going to just use this one as an example, edit the test, and you can upload questions from that file. So I'm just going to say they should all be worth 1. I'm going to browse. I think I called it RASP. There we go. That TXT file, open and submit. I have an error here. I can't remember what the formatting was, so probably not happy. A parse error. So I think it doesn't like this. I think it wants points, but I can get you the formatting. I'll change a couple of them. I can get you the formatting rules for the TXT if you're interested. Also, it is in that video. I discuss it in that video. So apparently it's a little bit different. Let's try again. Oops, one again.
Leandra, hi, can I just...
Hi, please go ahead. Seeing as I'm struggling.
You're going a bit too fast, I'm sorry. I think
no
I got...
problems. Where can I go back?
Did you say you are able to create a test and then choose the one that you made on Respondus and then put it on Blackboard? Is that correct?
Yes. So
Okay.
is your test in a Word document?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have our Word document like so. So I was talking about the formatting. Were you still with me when I was talking about the types of formatting?
Yes, yes,
right.
yes.
And then we have that. Let me just open Respondus again. We go through that process where we import the questions.
Oh, so I have to import the questions
yes,
first.
from that Word document.
Okay.
I choose Word document, I browse for the file. Choose the file from your computer, then give it a name. And preview. Then we have no warning, so we're fine to go, then we finish. And then that file is in Respondus. And as soon as it's in Respondus, we can now go and publish it to Blackboard. Were you still with us at this stage?
Yeah, I think now I get it now.
Okay. But I mean, like I said, I'm recording this session, so you can always go back and view it all slower.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry,
All right.
I talk really quickly because we
you.
only have an hour and I want to give you guys enough time to ask all your questions. So
Okay, thank you.
you can play it back on the YouTube video and just make it slower.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Oh, Esther is sharing this, which is quite nice. I don't put it in my videos because I'm not really sure, because it's the copyright of someone else, but it is really handy. So I'm going to show it to you. So she's put this link in the chat box if you want to go and have a look at it. This is another type of question generator, and it's hosted by the Oklahoma Christian University in the US. Now, what it does is it does the job of Respondus, only it does it through their website. So it's very similar kind of thing, only it does it more in the text. So I'm going to open up my text here and copy this. Oh, it's because I have titles that didn't work earlier. Okay, now that makes sense. All right, paste in my questions here. I'm not sure if this will accept titles either. It is telling me that I have some spelling issues though. I'm gonna just give it a name. Let's just call it test 2. And then we generate these test questions here. Okay, so I've got a lot of issues here. What is it? Not sure if I can.
It's usually if you don't, sorry, Leandri, it's usually if you don't put a space between the two, question 1 and question 2, you will see right at the top of your document, it shows you that you have errors. There's a inscription in red.
Okay, great.
Right at the top, if you scroll right to the top.
Do this.
And you can edit it now where you are.
Okay, so if I have, do we also put in type F?
No, it's not necessary.
So I'm just going to delete all of the rest, just so we have these couples. Just put in this. Okay, so I've got a space. Okay, I think this should be good. Then we generate. All right, now it was successful. Thanks, Esther. And then we can download these. And it will download to that TXT file on your computer. Go back to eThuto and we upload questions. Browse, find that test 2. Test 2. Oh, I'm looking on my, sorry, it just downloaded and I'm looking on my desktop. There we go. Open, put in the default point value and submit. And there we go, there are our questions. So this is another way of doing it. So if you want to use that link, you're welcome to. It's a very quick way of doing it. You don't have as much play with it as you have with Respondus itself, but this has saved my life multiple times when I've had instructors whose Respondus wasn't updated and we couldn't get a hold of IT. So remember this for that, or just give me a call and I'll send the link to you again. Otherwise, the TXT is available. You have notepads, you can do it yourself. You don't need to use the test generator, it's just quicker. All right, any other questions, comments, or sharesies? Sharing is caring. Yes, please, go ahead.
Leandri, tell me, now if we have a test in PDF format and we want to add it on the test, how do we do that?
All right, so PDF works the same as in when we open up and start import questions. I don't think PDF is allowed.
No, not in Respondus, but in
it's
eThuto.
not. So we'll need to convert your PDF to a document. You know what? You're the first person to ask me this. I haven't actually tried it, but let's see. I'm going to try and see. Yeah. Oh, no, those are quotes that won't help. Let's see if I've got a. That's not going to help. I'm going to try and see. Oh, there we go. Here's our policy on plagiarism procedure. That might have some nice text. So let's open just a PDF document. Now, the best way to do this will probably be to edit the PDF if you have DC, but everyone is on campus has access to Pro DC, so you should have that. And then we'll have to copy, and that's the only way I can think of right now. But let me think of it, a little bit while, and then I'll come back to if I can find a cleverer way of doing it. But my idea first is that you'll just have to copy it out and put it into your Word document.
Okay, and then in eThuto, how do you do it? I want to attach a PDF, but in a test, not in an assignment.
Oh, so you want to add the PDF as the file?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yep, that you can do. So a couple of ways you can do it. You can either do it in the, I'm just going to go back. Easiest way to do it is in the options. And either in your description or your instructions, I'm just going to put it here in my description. Let me just delete that image. Add from local content collection. And then I'm just going to add that PDF. This is an interview or something. Okay, that's fine. And we add it like so. And there is the PDF. Now to get here, you first need to upload it to your page. So let me show you what that looks like. So we go down to our course management section, course files. So you'll see it here, expand that and then go to the page name that you're on. All right, upload file. I'm just going to drag and drop that file in here, but you can browse your computer as well for that. It's just easier to drag and drop it. There you can see there's my PDF. Submit. Now it's in my content collection. So now I can go back to my test, edit the test options. And here in my description, I'm going to add it from content collection. I'm going to go and search. So that's going to be probably on the last page. Nope. P, it's going to be under P. Oh, no. There we go. Took a bit longer than it should have. Here we go. Just check your box, put in your thing, and there is your. So if I submit now and your students start the test, they can first open up the PDF. Does that make sense? Is that what you need?
Thanks, Leandri.
Okay. That is the easiest way to do it. But you can also, if you use your own cloud drivers, you can just put in the link. So for instance, I'm going to edit again. So instead of uploading it that way, I use, for instance, Dropbox and I use OneDrive. So I'm just going to go to my OneDrive and I'm just going to say this PDF. I'm going to share it, copy the link. And this time I'm going to say download this, highlight it, and then use the link to put in that URL. You can give it a title if you want, save and submit. And then what's going to happen now is if your student clicks on this, it's going to directly download to their computer that PDF. So the two ways of doing it, you can decide which ones. I prefer doing it straight on eThuto like this, the first example. Firstly, because then if you delete files from your OneDrive, it won't affect the students at all. So if you accidentally delete something, it's on the page and it will be on the page for the whole year. The other thing is because it opens up in a new window like this, which I prefer instead of having to go through all of the downloading and things. So it depends on you, but I prefer the first method. Okay, any more questions? Esther is saying if you have a test in PDF, you can export it through the tools export function and select Microsoft Word. So what she's talking about, let me open up a PDF again. I think this is only available if you have DC. I'm not sure, I might be lying, but as I said, we all, if you work on campus, you have access to a Pro DC license. So you go export. Export. Where's export? Esther, where's export? Oh, here we go. Sorry, I've got it. And then we go Microsoft Word and we say the newer word and we export.
Well, you can use the function at the top, Leandri. At the top there's the bars at the top, tools, under tools.
Okay. Oh, that's nice.
Export PDF.
Okay.
From the right.
This one.
Yeah.
Export PDF, Microsoft Word. Export, save it somewhere. Okay. Now, I don't often do this because I almost always work in PDF. But I'm interested to see what it comes out of, as this is a scanned one. But if it's not a scanned one, it should do it properly. Okay, great. This is what I got. So obviously some of these things were, you know, stamps and images, so we can just go and clean it up. But most of the text is here, so that will make your whole process a lot easier. Thanks, Esther. I forgot we could do that. Okay, any other questions, comments, or experiences that you want to share? Don't see anything else in the chats. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. Okay, we are at 12:24 now, so maybe you all are brain tired, and it is on Friday afternoon. Yes.
I asked a question on the chat earlier regarding.
Oh, sorry, I missed it. Let me see.
Yes, it's fine. It says, would I select the multi-course option to import the same questions to 2 different subject codes?
Oh, yeah, I got it. Sorry, I missed this question. Yes. Let me just think of 2 pages I'm on. Right, so how that works is a lot of you guys have multiple, you know, pages. Some are off-campus students, on-campus students, or the Welkom, Bloemfontein, and, you know, it's all the same test, and you might want to do this. So we just go get that file. And then we say create a new document. I'm just going to call it test August. Preview. Everything is still fine. Finish. And then when we go to the publish wizard, that is where it changes. So we go preview and publish, publish, same steps here, but this time we're going to say multiple batch. Next. It's going to have me log in again. Close after, okay. Now we can check multiple courses. So instead of only being allowed to check one, we can do multiple. So I'm going to check this one. I just want to be careful not to actually check someone who's active. These are all the eThuto 101s, that's fine. And then your name again, same procedure as you would have had with one, only you're going to do it for multiples. Now you can't choose a specific content area in this case, it's just going to upload it. Wait, let me just check this. See, I forgot about this. We have to go and put in a content area with the same name beforehand. So I'm just going to go back to that course. I think it was this one I used. So that one has a test. So I'm just going to take this one and also add a content area with the same name. All right, this one does actually have, so I should have used that from the beginning. That would have helped. All right, I'm just going to go back to this step and uncheck this one and find my other test page. See, this is the hassle if you have so many pages. You guys won't have this, so it's going to go a bit easier. Where is that page? It should be alphabetical. There we go. It's not alphabetical. All right. Now, hopefully, because I have a content area with the same name. There we go. Tests. Next. Just doing all of that stuff. I find that it almost always has this brief instance where it says not responding. Don't panic when that happens. It almost happens all the time and it always finishes. So just as a note, I see that happens. All right, so now on this one, I've got that test August, and on the other one, I should have the same test also under test. So just make sure that you have a content area with the same name in both. There we go, test August. Does that answer your question, Palesa?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
All right. Just go through the chats again in case I missed another one. Nope. All right, new ones at the bottom. Dr. Malebo was just saying thank you. She had to leave. That's cool. Anyone else for questions? Or we're going to wrap it up. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up for today. Of course, you all know my email address. You're welcome to send me a message with any other questions. Is somebody unmuted themselves? Do you have a question?
Nee, het was ek. I struggle with MS Teams, but I did send you a email.
Okay, all righty. So yeah, please send me an email with any other questions that you have, and I'll get in contact and we'll figure it out. But these are the basics and you should be okay for now. I'm going to upload the video to YouTube in a moment. So as soon as it's finished processing, so you will be able to access it from that YouTube channel that we discussed. All right, everyone, that is it for today. I hope you had a good time. Not that it's a good time on a Friday afternoon, but I hope that you learned something, and have a great, lovely weekend.
Thank you, Leandri. Bye.
Thank you, bye.
Thank you, bye.
Thank you.